G'day YouTube, and welcome to Aussie Backyard Food, where we show you just how easy it is to grow your own top quality organic produce in your own backyard. It's just a short one today. I thought it'd be a good opportunity, given the amount of rain we've had in the last few weeks. I reckon it must be the wettest March we've had in the history of mankind, particularly here on the east coast of New South Wales, Australia, due to a number of low pressure systems off the coast funneling a heap of just moist warm wind in off the coast and dumping it here in the Blue Mountains. The subject for today's episode is just to explain how one system in the permaculture garden can benefit another. Behind me here at the top of the hill we have a chook pen, and as explained in previous episode, it's basically one giant compost bin. We've got food plants growing all the way around the outside of it, benefiting from the nutrients that the chooks create. But when it dumps down like it has been, you find the ground in there can only hold so much water. And what happens to the excess is it runs off, and you can see just how wet that section of bedrock is there, with algae growing all along it, feeding off the nutrients that's running off that chook pen. Then down below it you can see is the first terrace. So this used to be a weed infested hillside. There's still a few weeds, so go easy on me, but you'll find mostly they're beneficial weeds that I tolerate because they're beneficial to the garden. They hold rock walls together, they stop other weeds, less desirable weeds, from springing up. And even this strawberry vine has a flower that the bees love, so it's one that I tolerate. But like I was saying, this used to be a weed infested hillside, and the water would just sheet off into the bush. I've cut terraces into that hillside now and rock walled it up, retained it, so the water is held back along with all those nutrients. And now we have fruit trees in the terraces that feed off the nutrients and stop the nutrients from just washing into the bush where they'd only do harm. And here's one of those weeds I was talking about. Well, that's what it's considered in most people's gardens anyway. In fact, it's even called knotweed, which I think is appropriate, because it's not a weed at all in our garden. It's a great source of nectar for our bees when not much else is flowering. In fact, I reckon it even looks okay too. So behind me here, at the base of our two orchard terraces, you see the next section of bedrock, and you can really appreciate that water as it flows out, carrying all those nutrients from the chook pen further downstream. And below that we have the veggie garden, which can then also benefit from those nutrients. And below the veggie garden we have one final terrace where we've got a row of fruit trees, and you can see just how lush the grass is down here. Or I guess we should expect after how much rain we've had, but it pretty much always stays green down here, just because that runoff from the chook pen way up the top of the hill, which you can barely see up there, benefits all those layers of plants within the garden. And finally the water will make its way into the bush, and hopefully we've managed to remove all the nutrients before it gets there and causes any issue on the native plant life, which isn't or hasn't evolved to deal with such high nutrient loads. So just a quick one today to show you how one system can benefit another in the food garden, in the Aussie backyard. Yeah, I guess it's Aussie permaculture. And yeah, I guess it's about how a bit of thought in the layout and the planning of a garden can reap real rewards for the gardener. So it's worth putting in those hours, perhaps days, perhaps years even, just to see where the sun travels, where the shadows fall, where the water runs on the garden. Might determine just how well you lay it out and how you can benefit from that in the years to come in your Aussie backyard. Catch up.